What are some of the changes you're seeing happening, not only within the world of Scotia in terms of the requirements, what the business is asking of you and your team, but what are you seeing happening with enterprise contact centers? What changes are taking place?
I think the biggest change over the last number of years has been the move away from contact centers being thought of in supporting just telephone banking into more channel support. So let me expand on that. 15, 20 years ago, when a lot of contact centers were bits and pieces that were consolidated and centralized for cost reasons, there really was telephone banking. It was all about 1-800 banking. Since then, you've had the onset of mobile banking, you've had certainly online banking, you've got chat, now you've got most recently social media. And the reality is that you've moved away from a telephone center into a channel center where you're supporting multiple businesses and multiple channels. And the goal is to make sure that your brand is consistent across all those channels, but more importantly, the customer experience is consistent across those channels. So strategically, that represents a huge change in thinking, because organizations like Scotiabank in the past never really thought about distribution as anything other than branches. And now you have to think about your customer touch points across not only branches, not only contact centers, but ultimately across all channels that your customers touch.
So is that forced, or is that led organizations like Scotiabank to redefine what customer experience is? So if it's not just one channel delivering it, is it expanded what the scope of customer experience is?
Without question, absolutely, because now you have to have the ability to understand your customers' needs, not just in one channel, but wherever they go. So in essence, you have to be talking channel to channel. You have to understand that if you don't get it right, you're putting your customer relationship at risk. And I like to talk about points of pain. When you start talking about the customer experience, what you really need to be looking at is, where are your points of pain? What's frustrating your customers, and what are you going to do, regardless of channel, to look at that and use technology or use whatever solutions might be available to eliminate those points of pain. So when I talk about points of pain, just to clarify, that could be something as simple as a policy. It could be a workflow or a process. It could be the fact that a customer calls, one channel has to be authenticated, switches to another channel, has to be re-authenticated, maybe goes and flips into a chat, and maybe there's another authentication of some type, and it just becomes repetitive and frustrating, and ultimately defines the customer experience, even if ultimately the customer got what they were looking for, the answer or the solution they were looking for. So strategically, what's starting to emerge, in my opinion, is that organizations, especially global organizations like Scotiabank, need to look at their contact centers as centers of influence. You've got voice of the customer, you've got speech analytics, and you need to use this information to make sure that your customer experience is optimized no matter where they go. So you need to, rather than have a contact center sitting as a off on an island unto itself, it becomes the center of the universe in some regards, because of the sheer number of customers that they talk to, because of the impact on the brand. As we all know, if you don't get the customer experience right, a lot of customers, I'm told as high as 60% of customers, will leave due to a poor service experience. So it is changing how we think about the customer experience, without question.